There are moments in life so surreal, so downright bizarre, that you feel like you've stepped into a movie where you're both the star and the audience, watching the chaos unfold. That was me, standing in the dim glow of my garage at 2 a.m., the air thick with the scent of concrete and a simmering sense of justice. As the garage door crept upward, revealing not the quiet suburban street but the stunned face of Linda Harper, our HOA president, her hand clutching a key she had no right to hold, I knew this was a story for the ages. My name's Tom Reynolds, a 52-year-old cop with 15 years on the force. I've seen it all: drunks, thieves, and the occasional entitled lunatic. But nothing prepared me for Linda Harper, a woman who turned neighborhood nitpicking into a crusade. This is the tale of her obsession with my matte black G-wagon, a petty tyranny that spiraled into a felony, and the night 10 of my colleagues stood shoulder to shoulder with me to bring her down. It started innocently enough, as these suburban sagas often do, with a violation notice tucked under my windshield wiper. Improperly parked vehicle, it read, citing some obscure HOA rule about my G-wagon needing to be perfectly centered in my driveway, with a precise clearance from the decorative stones lining my lawn. I measure half an inch off on one side. The fine was $50. I paid it, grumbling, thinking it was a one-off. I was wrong. Linda Harper wasn't your average busybody. She lived 3 streets over in a house just a tad too grand, painted a smug shade of taupe. She drove a spotless Lexus sedan, the kind that screams, "I have opinions about your mailbox." Clad in garish tracksuits, think neon coral or electric teal, she accessorized with clinking gold jewelry and oversized sunglasses perched atop her meticulously styled blonde hair, even on cloudy days. Her clipboard was her scepter, her thin-lipped scowl her crown. She patrolled our cul-de-sac like a dictator inspecting her fiefdom. My G-wagon was her fixation. I'd saved for years for that beast, rugged, unapologetic, a symbol of my hard-earned success. To Linda, it was an eyesore, a rebellion against her vision of beige conformity. Or maybe, as I later suspected, she coveted it with a jealousy that festered into something sinister. The violation notices piled up. My trash cans were 3 inches too close to the curb. My porch's potted basil was unapproved landscaping. My doormat's navy blue clashed with her aesthetic guidelines. Each came with a fine, a snide note in her spiky handwriting, and often a blurry photo as evidence. I tried reasoning with her. I attended an HOA meeting, a soul-sucking affair where Linda ruled from a slightly raised chair, banging a tiny gavel with unnecessary force. I explained that her violations were trivial, that I was a responsible homeowner. She smiled, a cold, saccharine grin, and said, "Rules are rules, Officer Reynolds. No one's above them, especially not those who should set an example." The dig at my job stung. The other board members, a group of nervous retirees and one jittery guy who flinched when Linda spoke, just nodded along. Her husband, George, a perpetually confused man, sat in the audience, offering weak smiles when she glanced his way. The G-wagon remained her obsession. She'd make snarky remarks when I washed it. "Quite the gas guzzler, isn't it?" Or, "Must be nice to afford such a flashy toy." Her Lexus cruised past my house more often, her head swiveling, sunglasses glinting. It was creepy. After a ludicrous citation for excessive windshield glare, I upgraded my security system with high-definition cameras, night vision, and crisp audio. One covered my driveway, another the side access. If Linda was escalating, I'd be ready. The turning point came after a late shift. Exhausted, I pulled into my driveway, hit the garage remote, and got nothing. The keypad code failed, and the manual lock wouldn't turn. Shining my phone's flashlight, I saw a new lock, not mine. My gut churned. This wasn't a glitch. Someone had tampered with my property. I called a 24-hour locksmith, a guy I knew from off-duty work. "Someone swapped the cylinder," he said. "Clean job. They had a key or picked it without damage." He got me in and installed a high-security lock. My G-wagon sat untouched, but my relief was short-lived. This was no prank, it was targeted. And Linda was the prime suspect. I doubled down on my cameras, ensuring they were primed for action. 2 days later, my phone pinged, motion detected. The live feed showed Linda, in a blinding turquoise tracksuit, pacing my driveway, phone to her ear. Her gestures were agitated, her eyes fixed on my garage. I switched to the recorded footage. A camera hidden by a shrub caught her voice, sharp and smug. The locksmith bought my emergency repossession story. HOA letterhead works wonders. He gave me the new key, said Reynolds probably lost his. The fool. He's on shift tonight. Jimmy Tate can hotwire anything, but we won't need that. I've got the key. We'll roll it out to a storage unit I rented cash, untraceable. By the time Reynolds notices, it'll be gone. Her voice turned venomous. We'll see who's so high and mighty. That monstrosity doesn't belong here. I'll claim it was abandoned on HOA property or sell its parts for a fortune. She planned to strike at 2 a.m., assuming I'd be at work. My blood boiled, but a grim smile spread across my face. She'd just handed me a prosecutor's dream. I called my partner, Mike, and played him the audio. She's lost it, he said. What's the play? I wanted to sting inside my garage. I briefed Lieutenant Carter, a no-nonsense veteran. He listened to the recording, his face shifting from disbelief to a grim frown. Harper's planning grand theft, auto, and fraud, he said. This is impressively stupid. He approved a covert op. 10 officers, plain clothes, in my garage. Keep it professional, Reynolds, he warned. Let her hang herself. We planned meticulously. Entry through my back gate, positions in the garage, comms checked. As night fell, my team arrived: Mike, Sergeant Torres, and 8 others, all pros I'd trust with my life. We hid in the shadows, my G-wagon the silent centerpiece. The wait was agonizing. At 1:58 a.m., gravel crunched outside. Footsteps approached, soft but deliberate. A key slid into the lock-me lock, illegally obtained. The garage door hummed, rising slowly. Linda's neon sneakers appeared, then her tracksuit. Beside her was Jimmy Tate, a twitchy 20-something with a rap sheet for petty theft. There it is, Jimmy, she hissed, eyeing my G-wagon with a predatory smirk. Hideous, but it'll fetch a fortune. She raised a remote, finger poised to unlock it. That was our cue. Evening, Linda, I said, stepping from the shadows. My team fanned out, a wall of grim-faced cops. Her remote clattered to the floor, her smirk vanishing. Jimmy looked ready to bolt, his bravado gone. What are you doing here? Linda stammered, her regal tone reduced to a squeak. This is a misunderstanding. I don't think so, I replied. This is my garage, my G-wagon, and you're holding a key you got by fraud. You're here to steal my car. Her face contorted shock, horror, then a flicker of defiance. I'm the HOA president. This is an inspection. It was a desperate lie. Mike flashed his badge. You're detained for conspiracy to commit grand theft auto, attempted theft, and unlawful entry. Linda's protest demands for her husband, claims of harassment fell flat. We have your conversation recorded, I said. Every word about the locksmith, the storage unit, and selling my car. She sagged, defeated. Jimmy muttered, I want a lawyer. Handcuffs clicked, a satisfying sound. Linda's tears weren't remorse, but self-pity, her world crumbling. Neighbors peeked from windows as we led her away, her reign over. At the precinct, Linda's indignation was comical. Don't you know who I am? She squawked, as if her HOA title meant anything. Jimmy, separated from her, spilled everything. Linda recruited him, promised a cut, coached him on bypassing security. The charges piled up: attempted grand theft auto, conspiracy, unlawful entry, fraud. My cameras, the locksmith's statement, Jimmy's confession, and Linda's own words sealed her fate. Her husband, George, posted bail, looking like a man who just realized he'd married a hurricane. The neighborhood buzzed. Stories poured in. Outrageous fines, vindictive enforcement, shady HOA funds. Linda was ousted as president, her nameplate ripped from the community center. The new board apologized, scrapped her absurd rules, and restored sanity. Linda pleaded guilty to lesser charges, earning a hefty fine, probation, community service, and a restraining order. Jimmy got probation for cooperating. Life improved. Neighbors planted bright flowers, kids left bikes on lawns, and a sense of community returned. My G-wagon, now a legend, sat proudly in my garage. Linda faded into obscurity, her tracksuits replaced by muted clothes, her sunglasses hiding bitter eyes. She avoided me, a shadow of her former self. This wasn't just about a carrot, it was about justice against a tyrant who thought she was untouchable. Power, even petty HOA power, can corrupt, but evidence and resolve can topple it. What do you think about this saga? Have you faced a bully like Linda, wielding authority to oppress? Share your stories in the comments. Did she deserve her fate, or was this too harsh? Let's debate. How far should we go to stop injustice, and when does it cross into vengeance? Your voice matters. Join the conversation below.